Hello, and welcome back to Morning Bible. Today we will be going through Matthew chapter 7 in the New English translation. So let's dive in. Matthew chapter 7. Do not judge so that you will not be judged. For by the standard you judge, you will be judged, and the measure you use will be the measure you receive. Why do you see the speck in your brother's eye, but fail to see the beam of wood in your own? Or how can you say to your brother, let me remove the speck from your eye, while there is a beam in your own? You hypocrite! First remove the beam from your own eye, and then you can see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Do not give what is holy to dogs, or throw your pearls before pigs. Otherwise they will trample them under their feet, and turn around and tear you to pieces. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened for you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks the door will be opened. Is there anyone among you who, if his son asks for bread, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for fish, will give him a snake? If you then, although you are evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father in heaven give good gifts to those who ask him? In everything, treat others as you would want them to treat you, for this fulfills the law and the prophets. Enter through the narrow gate, because the gate is wide and the way is spacious that leads to destruction, and there are many who enter it. But the gate is narrow and the way is difficult that leads to life, and there are few who find it. Watch out for false prophets, who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are voracious wolves. You will recognize them by their fruit. Grapes are not gathered from thorns, or figs from thistles, are they? In the same way, every good tree bears good fruit, but the bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree is not able to bear bad fruit, nor a bad tree to bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. So then you will recognize them by their fruit. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter into the kingdom of heaven. Only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. On that day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, didn't we prophesy in your name, and in your name cast out demons and do many powerful deeds? Then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Go away from me, you lawbreakers. Everyone who hears these words of mine and does them is like a wise man who built his house on rock. The rain fell, the flood came, and the winds beat against that house, but it did not collapse because it had been founded on rock. Everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain fell, the flood came, and the winds beat against that house, and it collapsed, and it was utterly destroyed. When Jesus finished saying these things, the crowds were amazed by his teaching, because he taught them like one who had authority, not like their experts in the law. That was Matthew chapter 7 in the New English translation. Couple things that popped out to me when I was reading. The first, really four verses, but the first two words of the fifth verse, talking about do not judge that you will not be judged. And then jumping down to verse 5, you hypocrite. This is, at least from my experience, one of the most misused verses in all of the Bible. People will use this against Christians to be like, how dare you judge this person for what they're doing? The Bible tells you that you can't judge people. How dare you? You're not the one to judge. That's not what this is saying at all. What it's saying is you better not be doing what you're telling someone else not to do. You better not be being a hypocrite. If you go and talk to your brother in Christ and tell him, hey, I saw you looking at that girl when you were driving by. You better stop that. You are lusting after her. But then you're lusting after someone yourself and you have a wife, then you're being a hypocrite, and then you will be judged by that standard. But if you are judging someone and you are not being a hypocrite, you have every right to do that, especially if it's to another brother in Christ. I don't understand. Well, I mean, I do understand because we live in a fallen world, and this fallen world that we live in right now in the 21st century is absolutely insane. But it's hard. if someone's coming at it honestly, it's hard to see how someone can come to that conclusion where this verse says you cannot judge. It is not your place to judge. When it very specifically says in verse 2, for by the standard you judge, you will be judged. It's not saying don't judge, it's saying, hey, just so you know, the weight that you're using to measure these coins is going to be used to measure your coins. Hopefully you're ready for that. Hopefully everything's on the up and up. It really bugs me when people use this verse completely out of context, completely mischaracterizing what it says. But hopefully that's more clear now. And then the second thing is this is probably gonna sound like I'm attacking people again. I'm not, I promise. I just want people to see clearly the things that they are in. Verse 15, it says, watch out for false prophets. And this reminded me of specifically Mormons. And I very carefully did not say brothers and sisters in Christ because it's a lot more of a gray area on that one. I don't it's hard to believe that they're actually real Christians. But anyway, so with Joseph Smith, right? He's supposed to be a prophet, the prophet for the Mormons. There's think a probably pretty well-known test for prophets. Deuteronomy 18:22. If what a prophet proclaims in the name of the Lord does not take place or come true, that is a message the Lord has not spoken. That prophet has spoken presumptuously, so do not be alarmed. If anything that a prophet says does not come true, nothing that comes from that prophet's mouth should be trusted. And I'll admit that I don't know what Joseph Smith's prophecies were, but I do know that there are people that do know what they were and know that none of them are true. None of them have come true. There's a YouTube channel called Apologia Radio or Apologia Studios, whatever. Apologia. And one of the things they do is Jeff Durbin, who might be the head of it, or James White is the head. I actually am not fully sure. Anyway, one of the things they do is go and evangelize to Mormons when they're coming out of temple or whatever it is that they're doing. And they bring up this verse a lot. And it makes me wonder how many Mormons actually look at it. Because it seems, from at least my view and my personal experiences with Mormons, that they really only care about the Book of Mormon and not so much the 66 canonical books of the Bible. So I wonder if they put less weight on the 66 books than they do the Book of Mormon and stuff that's in there. So that those are the two things that I was wanting to bring up for this chapter. Tomorrow will be Matthew chapter 8, and I will see you then.